Thanks for staying with us. As we said, it's a Healthy Tuesday. And on this segment, we'll be discussing anthrax. According to the reports we've had, the federal government has issued an alert over the outbreak of the anthrax disease in some neighboring countries. Joining us to discuss more is a consultant infectious disease, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, and also the Public Relations Officer, Nigeria Infectious Diseases Society, Dr. Adefolari Opawoye. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Nice being here.
Yes, so when we hear anthrax, we're thinking of animals, but you know, anthrax used to be something was in the envelope, I think, back in the US then when they had issues where it was spread across. But what exactly is anthrax, and why should we be scared of it?
Well,
should we be scared of it?
Should we be scared? I wouldn't do that. I mean,
Okay.
That's not the aim of trying to set up a fear in the public. Well, anthrax is a bacteria, you know, like so many. It's a gram-positive bacilli, and basically it lives in the soil. That's where it stays. You know, and it's majorly a disease that affects animals most of the time. So animals do die from anthrax from time to time. But then occasionally it could transfer from animals to humans, like so many other diseases does, like rabies and co. You know, so it could be it's what we call a zoonotic disease. So, and you're talking about the mall attack in 2001 in the US. That was almost like a terrorist attack. You know, that's a totally abnormal situation.
Okay.
It's a different scenario from what we have here. You know, so it's not something we should be scared of, but it's something we should know and something we should be wary about because it can affect humans, and yes, it can lead to that, even in humans.
So I am an advocate for conservation of vultures. And one thing
Vultures?
Yes.
Wow.
And one thing I know that vultures are described for is that they can feast on animals that have been infected with anthrax, and it does nothing to them. And, you know, so I was thinking, right, that does this have anything to do with the fact that we have a decline in these animals that are able to feast on dead animals that are infected by this disease? Because even though you say that it affects animals alone, we have heard that it can be passed on to humans, even sometimes just by being in the vicinity of these animals, or if someone has handled it and the person that handled it gets in contact with someone else, the person is able to get it.
No, not really. Yeah, okay, so I agree with you that anthrax basically affects four-footed animals, and of the four-footed animals, basically herbivores. So it won't affect a dog, for example, or a cat, because they are not majorly herbivores. They are more like, you know, omnivores, you know.
See?
So, but yes, just four-footed. So it's something that, of course, a vulture, it won't affect a vulture. You understand? So that it stands to reason that if a vulture eats the carrion from anthrax, it's not going to have a problem with it. I agree with you on that. I'm totally. So the challenge. Sorry, your other statement was what?
Which is the transmission of this from animals
so the
to humans.
transmission. So to be clear about the transmission, it can be transmitted from animals to humans. And majorly it could be from maybe, let's say, 2 or 3 sources. It could be when humans handle the contaminated hides and skins from the animals who have died or who have been sick or died from anthrax. Sometimes when they eat raw meat, you understand, of animals, and then if they have contact with their skin, you understand. So we have 3 major forms. We have the GI, that's the one that goes into the stomach. We have the inhalational, we know when you inhale the spores, which was the one that happened at the mall attack, but I told you that's a totally not very common. And then you have the cutaneous, the one that happens to the skin, which is usually the most common form of it. So it's very important to understand how it's transmitted, because that's how we formulate our preventive measures, you understand, so that we don't just panic and then throw away the baby and the bathwater. You get, so those are the ways. So now it's gotten from animals to humans through that. We should just stand in the vicinity, and no, it's not through casual contact, you understand. It has to be through intimate contact with these animals, you know, really handling them. And then, like the cutaneous one, for example, you have to really handle them with...
So, like, my butcher is at risk?
Yeah, the butcher is at risk. You're very correct. Veterinary workers, you understand. So, but the butcher is at risk if that animal has anthrax, you understand. So the whole thing is to check all these and make sure that the animals don't have anthrax as at the time they're killing them.
Right. So talking about checking, how do you think the government can ensure that the livestock farmers and suppliers are sticking to safety requirements as they supply this meat into the markets?
Yeah, okay, so there's a whole structure in the government, you understand? There's a normal structure. And in terms of an outbreak now, there's what we call the Public Health Emergency Operations Center, which we have activated, for example, both nationwide and in Lagos State, where you bring in experts from everywhere. You understand? You call it One Health approach. I'm a member of that committee. We hold meetings like 3 times a week, trying to look at the situation report and what's going on, how many animals do we have now, any human contact, we do contact tracing, surveillance, and there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, you understand? So what the government usually does is that ideally you're supposed to get your meat from approved abattoirs. And all these approved abattoirs, they have veterinarians that actually check the meat before they are killed. You understand? And at the point in which they are killed. There's a quick autopsy, you look at the lungs, make sure, because it's not only anthrax you're worried about, you're worried about TB, you're worried about so many other things that could pass on from animals to humans. And so you check at that point, and if there's a problem, they say, no, you can't sell this meat. You understand? But then, our people, people try to do all sorts of, cut corners and all that. And then sometimes it's difficult for the farmers. So you just wake up and you have 30 goats in your flock, and all of a sudden 20 of them are dead. I mean, it's going to be difficult. You're going to,
kill them.
So for example, when we were young, then we were trained, because I raised animals when we were growing up, and then we were trained that when the animal is getting sick, before it dies, you quickly put the knife, and kill it, and then you put plenty pepper, you understand, so that it will kill whatever. That was a whole, and then you can't do that, because once you do that now, if that animal is getting sick of anthrax, and then there could be a risk, you understand, so those are the issues.
Cooking it with hot pepper does not do anything to it?
No, cooking helps. Cooking helps. We have an idea that pepper, I mean, in our culture, once something is pepperish or bitter, we believe it works and it's healthy. You understand? Yeah, locally, that's what we think. But cooking anything really helps. Like in anthrax, if you but we're saying that it's really dangerous. You understand? Because you remember that you can get infected by just handling the road. So any animal that is sick at this point, you are advised to actually try to report. It's difficult, you understand? But that's what farmers are advised to do.
So knowing that people might not be able to get to where to do the report, what are the basic things like, okay, should they wear gloves? We remember that we're told always the personal hygiene, washing your hands. The fact that I have touched this animal that died of anthrax, does that mean that if I quickly wash my hand, maybe use bleach or something, does that ensure I am free?
So what we actually, I mean, the world is a global village now. So when you say people are not getting close to where they report, I may be worried about that. You have social media, you have channels. You have channels. Everybody has their groups. Almost everybody has a WhatsApp group now. The farmers have a WhatsApp group. The shoemakers have a WhatsApp group. So, I mean, the whole idea, and really they do call us when these things happen. Look, there are a lot of animal deaths going on here, because what you start seeing in livestock is that they start to die suddenly. And then sometimes they start to bleed from the nose, from the mouth. And then sometimes when you kill them, their blood does not clot. All those are signs that look like there's a problem here. Or you kill them and then before you know it, they decay so fast. There's a problem here. So, I mean, they do try to, because they also are worried. They don't want to get it.
Yes.
You understand? So usually what we advise is, hey, just anything, just let us come. Because there are things we do. I mean, you wear your protective equipment. There are procedures you go through to minimize that transmission. You understand? There's a way you dispose of the carcass of the animals. You understand? You dive very, very deep, or you burn on the spot, or there's a way you transport. So really, we don't really want to just allow everybody to do that, because then you cannot guarantee. And then before you know, you may actually have a problem on your hands, because once it gets to human population, you're in trouble.
So when a human gets infected, when we go to Nigerian hospitals, it's always either malaria or typhoid. It's always difficult to get to the point where there's an infection such as anthrax, diagnosis. So how do we know, what are the symptoms we need to look out for to know that somebody has anthrax?
So a lot of these things are based on what we call epidemiological linkage. So, for example, there was a time when if you cough 2-3 times, they'll say, hey, maybe you have COVID. You understand? That was a time. Now, it's not there anymore. So what we usually do is to get the alert out. We've had meetings with private hospitals, with government hospitals. There's trainings going to be scheduled for them. Like, okay, look, guys, this is anthrax season. Okay, these are the things you look out for. Now, the problem with many of these sicknesses is that they are non-specific. You understand? It's not like you have classical signs. For example, anthrax, I told you there are really 3 different types. The GI, that's the stomach, the one that you get when you inhale, and then the one from the skin. So the one from the skin is the one everybody will see. But the one from the GI, some stomach ache, some abdominal pain, some nausea, vomiting. It could be signs of pregnancy for all you know. Can't be too sure. So one thing we try to do is to have epidemiological, did this person have contact with animals? So for example, if a butcher is coming with those signs, alert, you understand? I'm looking, I mean, do you have any? So those are the questions we ask, and that's what we train people to do now, you understand? But then once we have suspected cases, we have a system, you understand, where we take those samples. We have labs, we have national labs, the reference lab in Jos, you understand? That's the one, where we take all those samples to. And then we're trying to have regional labs too also here. Lagos always tries to develop capacity so that we can quickly get those results and then send it back, and then we start you on treatment ASAP, you understand? So yes, that knowledge is out there. But like I said, there must be a contact You understand? Before you really
Okay,
suspect.
so I see how you're working with clinics, but also there's a way we transport cattle,
Yeah.
from the north,
Live.
and the way that we transport it. Recently, I was showing some of my staff, talking to them about anthrax. They said, well, usually when these people, by the time they get the cattle here in Lagos, most of them are dead anyway. They were saying to me, this is something we see all the time. Why is it different now? How are they able to tell that these ones did not die from exhaustion like the ones they've always seen?
So ideally, again, you see, it's just a problem. You shouldn't just have a cattle that dies and then you sell that to people. It's wrong. I don't think the veterinarians will ever
They were
accept
not, sorry, they were not saying that they sell, but they're saying what happens is when they
happens to them?
when they get there and some of them are dead, they just separate them and then sell
Where?
off the live ones.
And then what happens to the dead ones?
No, my question now is, hopefully they're not selling that, but my question is, the ones that didn't die may be infected and still would get to the butcher, be cut and, be sold to us.
Yeah, well,
So how would you tell that this is not from exhaustion, even before symptoms start showing?
So like I said, you should get your meat from approved laboratories. You understand? And the approved laboratories, honestly, they have a very solid system where officials...
At least for Lagos State.
Yeah, for Lagos State. They have that system where they check those animals before they are killed. You understand? And then they make sure they certify them that, okay, this animal is fine. You understand? You can kill this and this is safe for public consumption. But the problem is that there are all these middlemen and people like you talk about. And then sometimes they sell this at very cheap prices. So you have a farmer who will have animals dying on his farm. Say, okay, look, this is a goat, 5,000 naira. And then before you know it, so those are the issues that we have to watch out and you have to be careful about at this time.
Right, so there are speculations that the anthrax disease emanated from some farmers feeding some wrong things to their animals so that they can boost their rapid growth. What's your take on this?
Yeah, farmers feed wrong things to animals a lot of times. The farmers are the largest consumers of antibiotics that we have in the country. I mean, you see them sometimes having tetracycline in sacks. Wow. You understand? And they pour it into feed and all that. And, the challenge from that is that by the time humans consume those kind of things, you develop the resistance. You understand? So then we give you drugs in the hospital and then it doesn't work because you're already taking the drugs from the animal somehow. That's another problem. But no, that's not the problem with anthrax. Anthrax is from the soil. You understand? So when animals eat, they eat grass and all that, they develop those spores and then sometimes they do. So it's not something it's something that has always been there. It's just all of a sudden now because normally when there's an outbreak, there's increased surveillance and then this kind of things happen. It's brought to public consciousness. But I'm just saying that it's a very ancient disease. And actually what you try to do is to have a vaccination system for the animals to protect them. Okay. Because once you protect the animals, then humans are also protected. Okay. And that's what we're also doing right now in Lagos State. There's a lot of vaccination already going on. Almost 1,000 animals have already been vaccinated all around, to protect. And then we put a mark on the animals because once you vaccinate them, then you shouldn't eat them in the next 2 months. So you can't kill them then. But the farmers are really cooperative and then we're trying to, because they're also trying to keep their flock safe. Yeah. Because when they lose the flock, they lose everything.
They lose money.
So when you talk about the idea of vaccination taking place in Lagos, it sounds interesting, but people watch our show from around, at least all around Nigeria, and we're talking about places where they probably don't have certified veterinarians that check on the animals before it gets butchered, or people that right from within their compound, they have goats to one side, ram to one side, cow, and they just pick one and they kill. What are the other things that people can look out for to be able to identify that there's something wrong with this animal that I'm about to kill, that I'm thinking on normal days just be sick, and let me just quickly...
Yeah, so like I've told you, anytime that an animal is sick, ideally, you don't know what is wrong with that animal should not be eaten. But I've told you again, the practice is something we have done. I also done when we were young. We're trained. Once the animal is doing the neck like this, quickly put knife. You understand? And then quickly, it is wrong. That's the training that we're trying to tell people now. But it's a bit difficult for the farmer. You understand? Because of the kind of losses that they will incur. So, yeah, I agree with you. Lagos is quite miles ahead of virtually every state in the country. Because, I mean, we've had quite a few outbreaks here. This is like the epicenter, Ebola 2014. It's going to be, I mean, this is like almost the anniversary we're going to be doing very shortly. This is August. It was around this time, back then. And the good thing, the lucky thing we've had in Lagos is that we've had people, I was there at Ebola. I've been there at last monkeypox, COVID. So we had that institutional knowledge. And so when these things happen, we know what to do. We just roll out.
Question coming here. Is the doctor saying that all those Ogunfe they slaughter at their mala joints are vaccinated? I think it goes back to making sure that the animals slaughtered in these bukas are acquired from the right abattoirs.
Because they are not done from...
Yes. So the animals are supposed to... There should be a central system from the abattoirs where, the veterinarians check them, stand before they are slaughtered. That's the ideal thing to do. So again, there are these
If I go to a booker and I know they slaughter their meat there, what kind of question do I ask them? Which abattoir did you buy this from? Or they just say, the other day from Kano, like, how realistic is it for me as a consumer to
That's
make sure
why
I'm eating?
my question was that if you are not buying this animal from a certified butcher,
Yeah.
you kill it by yourself. You said they check some areas. What are the areas I can check that if I see that maybe the liver is black, and I know the color of the liver I usually get before, maybe it's green, I'm not good. This animal, there's something wrong. So I'm just asking.
Liver is usually dark anyway. But
Like in layman's
that means you
terms.
don't kill.
I don't
That means you
kill,
don't kill
I
animals.
don't
No. I mean, so what happens? I've told you. So the thing with anthrax in animals is that the disease course is very rapid. They die very fast.
okay.
And that's when you know there's a problem. All of a sudden, the animals start to die on a particular farm. And that's how we knew. Like the first case in Nigeria was in Niger State. And about 8 animals just like that. And then once they died, and then you take samples and all that. So that's usually the first sign. They get sick and then they die very fast. And I said, when they get sick, they start to bleed. You understand? I've said that. You understand? They start to bleed from the nose and all that. And then if by any means you quickly try and kill them fast, you see that their blood does not clot.
Yeah.
So
I guess this...
Okay, those are...
Yeah, so that's the thing.
So an advice would be, let's be careful of frozen meat and meat products at this time.
Well,
No.
We have to be careful.
Because we don't know the source.
Yeah.
The main thing. So hopefully we're going to get to a stage where we bag and tag every source of meat.
But right now we have...
No, right now I wouldn't say that. I would just say that, I mean, whatever you're going to eat as meat, cook it properly. That's what I'm going
Exactly.
to say.
So once you cook it
Because
properly,
most
so
of the time-
what does properly mean? You cook it, add that gina,
Cook it,
Some of the time
fry it, fry it,
you
pour
fry
inside
it.
And
the
then
meat.
put pepper.
My own personal...
You know the way
I have...
we cook things in Europe, we first boil the meat and then we fry and then we put inside obe again. We put inside switch.
So it's properly cooked.
It's a lot of cooking. You
So I haven't
understand?
I have not bought meat from my butcher since I heard about anthrax. Now,
So what have you been
it's
eating?
not... I mean, I've been eating fish and other things,
Good for the
but...
fish sellers.
Yes, but it's not really about the meat itself. I'm wondering if he has anthrax on his body and I come in contact with him.
Yeah, what's the gestation
you
period
know?
for human beings?
Well, it really varies about sometimes 4 to 5 days, sometimes up to 21 days from the contact, you understand? But it's not that transmissible from human to human. Let's be very clear about that.
Okay.
It's not easily transmitted at all. It's not that contagious.
So if
It's
I
not
call my
you
butcher
touch.
and he can answer me and talk to me, then I know that he's
Please
fine.
continue buying meat from me.
So yes, so what you've told us right now, yes, anthrax is there in some animals. Lagos State government is working hard to control it, to train the butchers to ensure that those who are buying from the butchers are certified and all that. However, if peradventure, perhaps using my pastor's language, we get to buy any meat, boil it properly.
Yeah, cook
Once
it
we
well.
boil it properly, I think that's a normal thing for us.
I think generally we don't take
But
more
also
things.
don't-
Yeah, we're not like the medium rare.
And I was saying,
Yeah.
so don't go to those fancy or Igbo restaurants
Sushi,
and
all
be asking
those
for
things.
medium rare.
No, but most of those guys actually do have very confirmed sources of where they get their own stuff from. They have direct contact with farms and all that, so for some of them.
But do we have like a list of government-certified abattoirs?
There's a list.
Where can we, like
There's
a
a
regular
list.
Nigerian, go and check the list?
I understand that. There's a list, and then we'll try. We'll make sure that list gets out there so that people
Twitter.
can know where to get.
Because my butcher goes to Ijora, that's his own
animals from.
abattoir.
Yes, there are a lot of Odoerons in different places.
Go ahead.
All these places where they, we have in Oigbo. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I know that the federal government has been doing a lot, to distribute vaccines and also set up biosecurity labs and all of that. How would you rate their body language to ensuring that this disease does not spread, and what more can they do?
Well, there's always more to be done. In terms of body language, like I told you, incident management systems have been activated. And that's what we usually do. We have what we call a public health emergency operations. You understand? Where all of a sudden you contact everybody and then you set up teams. And I told you we've had hours and hours of meetings. 20, 30 people from the Ministry of Agriculture, from the Ministry of Health, subject matter experts, infectious diseases, dermatologists, veterinarians, everybody has been coming together because you have what we call a One Health approach. This is not something you can be tunnel vision. This is something that ranges from animal to man, so you have to take care of them in every way. So there's a lot of work that's being done, that's being done at the moment. We still have meetings 2-3 times every week going around doing surveys, you understand, investigations. So they call, oh, animals are dying here. And then you go there, you check, you understand.
Wow.
And then I told you there are vaccinations going on.
Doesn't sound Nigerian at all.
No. Well, I mean, you see, people, we tend to have this fatalistic view of the country.
Yeah.
And it's just like...
Fatalistic, say it louder, I didn't hear you.
I said, well,
Fatalistic views of some people.
You
that
understand, of everything, you know. And then, you know, you remember during COVID, they said all of us, we died. They found corpses on the streets, blah, blah, blah.
But we arrange ourselves now because of that fear.
No, it wasn't really that, but somehow we're the fourth best response in the world.
Because
you
of
understand?
fear.
As marked by the WHO. Other people were afraid.
The way we were eating garlic and ginger.
The triage, we had
No, it's
the triage issue that went viral, that, oh, there are people on the, you know, when the accident happened, I think with the train, the people started going viral. I see Nigeria, you know, when we had the triage, we had to bring in the CMD to explain to us what a triage is, that you put people on the floor to spread. You can't bring them into the hospital.
So the thing is just people, I understand how the country is, and the most popular thing now is to run away. That's the truth. But we have a lot of very competent people here.
You plan to run anytime soon?
Well, I tell people I'm still here for now, you know.
That's the last time you said for now. Don't say that.
24 hours. The last time I was here, you asked me the same question.
Yeah,
And I told you, and I'm here, and that was almost 5 years ago. So I'm still here.
Right, I'm happy with that. There's no jackpot.
But we are competent. We try
From
to do what
talking
we can
to
do.
you, you've sort of calmed my nerves because I thought, things are happening outside.
No, I was shocked when I saw that
Become
people
a
should stop eating Ponmo.
Chicken.
Yes.
Ponmo alata, no. I mean,
You can eat some more.
no, why not? Ponmo is cooked. Who eats Ponmo raw? You understand? You boil, you fry.
This is speaking on behalf of Anthrax, not speaking on behalf of the Leather Manufacturing Association of Nigeria that is saying that Ponmo is not good for Nigerians to eat.
Even the way we boil
That's
it.
no.
Anthrax said you should not eat that.
Let me show you one for this story. My CEO, Andrew Hallan of TVC.
Yeah.
You know, I was so excited when he just came back. I was so excited to let him taste Nigerian food, and he ate the meat, and I was like, oh my God. Meat is overcooked. I can only taste the seasoning. I can't take the meat. You know what? When next I come back from Ireland, I'll bring you meat. You eat, I'll cook meat for you. Eat, you taste the meat. All the eating is seasoning, all the salt and seasoning.
Yes.
That's all we cook and overcook. So he felt that it was too hard. It was
That's why Anthrax will not kill us.
But the problem is that you take away all the nutrients, you cook away everything, but then
that's the issue. But
it's a bit safer when we do that, actually.
Side story. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Happy that you're still in Nigeria. We hope the next 5 years we'll see you again in Nigeria. Please don't jump
No,
out.
that's
now,
the same
don't
to that.
jump out.
Amen. Don't jump out, please.